Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you're wildcarding or even thinking about wildcarding this game week, then this video is for you. I'm going to show you what I think is the best wildcard team for game week 32. I'm also going to show you how that wildcard team looks in double game week 33 paired with the bench boost. Can we get 15 double game week players? And lastly, I'm going to run you through the best captain for game week 32. And that's actually much more important this game week than previous game weeks. And I'll explain to you why later on in the video. Now, if this sounds good to you, do me a favor, drop a like and subscribe. Let's get into it. Before we run through our wildcard team, the first thing we should be doing is looking at the game week fixtures in 32, 33 and 34. Probably the most vital period of this season. The reason I say that is game week 33 is the biggest double game week of the season, which means a lot of us managers want to be activating chips. For example, bench boost. Some might use a free hit in that game week, which is cool. And then we have a big blank game week in game week 34, which means a lot of us managers will be using a free hit to protect ourselves because a lot of our double game week players in 33 will not be playing in 34. So if you don't have this little fixture block stored somewhere safely, definitely take a screenshot of this so you're fully prepared. Now, as you can see, game week 32 is a normal game week, but the reason it's here, because this is the week where you've got the balance. If you're activating your wildcard in game week 32, you want to put out the best possible team for game week 32, but also have in mind as many doublers for bench boost in game week 33. Now, this is vital for us to maximize our chip. The aim is to obviously have 15 double game week players. Whether that's possible with this season's fixtures, we're going to talk about that in a bit more detail later. And then after that, be looking to use something like a free hit to navigate the blank game weeks. Because as you can see, every team that has a double game week in 33 will blank in 34. So it's also tricky. If you haven't got a free hit, it's very difficult to attack the doubles in 33 and still put out a good team in 34. So please bear in mind, if you haven't got a free hit, how you're going to navigate that period. In this video, the wildcard team I'm putting forward is based on you using this chip strategy, which is wildcard in 32, bench boost in 33, free hit in 34, and if you still have a triple captain, more than likely in 36, because Manchester City are likely going to have a double game week there, so we could attack someone like Haaland or Semenyo later on in the season. Now I want to focus in on double game week 33. Let's have a look at the 6 teams that are doubling. We've got Bournemouth, Brighton, Burnley, Chelsea, Leeds and Manchester City. We would have had Arsenal as well, which would have made the wildcard super juicy. Unfortunately, it was a shocking result, but Arsenal lost to Southampton. And actually, Southampton deserved the win. That did mess up my planning and a lot of managers out there, because for sure, we would have had triple Arsenal and it would have made the wild card a bit more appealing. And not just Arsenal dropped out, Newcastle dropped out of the double as well. So we would have had much more selection. This is the reason a lot of managers won't use the wild card this game week, which is fair. There's other strategies. Some might use it in game week 35 and attack the remainder of the season. So there are different chip strategies if you do not want to activate your wildcard. For someone like me, I still like the idea of activating my wildcard in 32. So we've lost Arsenal, but we still have some good fixtures to attack. So we've got Bournemouth and their double is Newcastle away and Leeds at home. Decent fixture at home, Newcastle away, you're not quite sure what you're going to get, to be honest. So for me, Bournemouth is a team we can definitely triple up on. Brighton have Tottenham away and Chelsea at home. Not the best fixtures, not the worst fixtures. Tottenham, of course, have been hideous this season, and you can tell by the amount of managers they've sacked. Chelsea's another Jekyll and Hyde team, but Brighton do have some assets for us to be able to attack for a double game. Burnley have Nottingham Forest away, which is not too bad, but they have Man City at home. For me, I will personally be avoiding Burnley players. Yes, they have a double, but Burnley are one of the worst teams in the Premier League, and one of them is Manchester City. You could argue it's just a single game week for them. Chelsea cruised through in the FA Cup. They have Manchester United at home and Brighton away. I think that's not too bad. Manchester United can give away goals and Brighton are random. Chelsea on their day could easily score 3 or 4 goals. So I'm definitely interested, at minimum, on a double up from Chelsea. Leeds got their double via that dramatic win in the FA Cup against West Ham, which was incredible. It went to penalties, so fair play. Congratulations to Leeds. Because of that, they've got Wolves at home and Bournemouth away. Not too bad. And there's a couple of assets there, which we'll talk about soon. And lastly, Manchester City with a title deciding fixture maybe. Arsenal at home, and then after that, it's Burnley away. That Burnley away fixture has got potential to be something special, because if they do beat Arsenal, oh boy, I could see a lot of goals in that fixture. And as you could see, blank game week 34, none of these 6 teams play. Right, let's build this wildcard team and let's start with the forwards. Always the most exciting part of my team. Now I'm going to bring up a graphic here which shows 5 of the strikers that are doubling in game week 33. I've avoided Burnley forward. I did say earlier on I'm not going to pick any of their plays even though in theory they have a double game week, but not for me. So we've got Haaland, Evangelison, João Pedro, Welbeck and Calvert-Lewin. As you can see, we've got price, minutes, goals, assists, shots, accuracy, XG per shot non-penalty, expected assists, and XG non-penalty. Now, I'm not going to go through each stat here, but you can see the greens are the ones who's got the highest in that column and the reds who have got the lowest. Bear in mind, some of these stats will be skewed because some of the players will have less minutes than the other players. If you're looking to pick 3 doublers for your wildcard, there's not many options. I think Haaland's a given. You saw what he done to Liverpool in the FA Cup. They're still in contention for the Premier League, so they've got something to play for. He tends to finish the season pretty strong. Put Evangelison here, who's had, to be honest, not the best season. You can see he's only got 6 goals, which is the lowest out of these players, and 4 assists. For me, you'd probably get more joy picking Bournemouth midfielders than their strikers. João Pedro's having an outstanding debut season for Chelsea. Some FPL managers call him a troll. I mean, he has done it to me a couple of times this season, but he has been incredible. And as you can see, he's got the most assists and he's also got the best XG per shot non-penalties. Welbeck, who is still going and still performing miracles in the Premier League. Every time I watch him, I can't help but be impressed. And it's still a possibility he actually goes to the World Cup to be Harry Kane's understudy. You can see a lot of reds in his statistics, and it's mainly because of his low minutes and he is quite injury prone. But you look at 12 goals, pretty good, and he scored recently against Liverpool, which was very impressive. He's definitely a good option, especially if you think he's going to play in a double game week. And lastly, it's Calvert-Lewin, the lead striker, who did score a couple of penalties against West Ham to get through in the FA Cup. A very frustrating player, but a very cheap player that after the double game week, maybe you could just leave on the bench. So for me, I'm going to be picking 3 forwards from this list, and I can show you right now which 3 I've gone for. Haaland was 100%. That's an easy one. That's a no-brainer. Even people that are not wildcarding have him, so kind of put him to the side. João Pedro, a lot of managers have got rid of him because Chelsea's fixtures toughened up. Some went Ekitike and just moved him on. But for me, just because of the double game week, and as I said, he's having a very good season, he definitely has to be in for me. So those 2 spots are locked in. Now, the last spot is a bit more trickier. I personally prefer Welbeck. I've got worries that he's not going to play the double, or he's going to have managed minutes, because when you look through his historical data, he doesn't tend to play as many minutes in the midweek fixtures, which left me with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I know. This is one of the weaknesses of this wildcard, and especially if you're targeting to try and get 15 double game week players. You do end up picking players that if you wasn't wildcarding and wasn't trying to attack the double game week, you probably would swerve. And he's a perfect example. Yes, he takes penalties. Yes, his minutes have been pretty good. And if I'm honest with you, Leeds have been not too bad the second half of the season. And they've actually got a very good fixture run come the end of the season. So I am hoping he can go on a bit of run, because I'm not sure how much I'll be using him for the remainder of the season, because he could easily go on my bench straight after the double game week 33. But this is the attacking front 3 I've come up with for my wildcard. Next, let's look at midfielders for this wildcard team. And I've got a graphic here which highlights some of the midfielders I really like that also double in game week 33. Now, there are other midfielders, but I've tried my best to highlight who I think are going to be the most explosive in game week 33. Same system as the graphic as the forwards. The greens highlight the best performer in those attributes, and the red highlights the worst performer in those attributes in comparison to the other players. Now, let's start with Palmer. A lot of managers would not go near him. For his price, 10.6 million, he's not really been valued. He's had a very difficult season. In fact, I was going to say Palmer, Saka and Foden, the 3 potential superstars that England have in their World Cup season, have been way below par. But anyway, let me focus back on Palmer for FPL reasons. I was surprised to see he's only got 1 assist. And as you can see, look at his minutes. Combination of that groin injury. But I will say this, he will be looking to put minutes down for the remainder of the season. Of course, not just because of the carrot of the World Cup, but also Chelsea need to get into the Champions League spot. That's like a non-negotiable. So I do think his minutes should be good for the double game week. I think if Arsenal had doubled and Newcastle had doubled, maybe we could have had a conversation whether we need Palmer, and we could have got players like Gordon and Saka and Rice. As they are not doubling, budget becomes less of an issue, and I think it's worth taking which I think is actually a very big risk on a player like Palmer. But as we have seen before, on his day, he's capable of magic. Underneath him is Enzo, who is immediately not going to play in Game Week 32, so bear that in mind. If he is in your wildcard team, he's going to be on the bench and really going to utilize him in a double Game Week 33. But looking at his numbers, 8 goals, 3 assists, and a very high accuracy and a very good XG, tells you he is actually a good asset. It's been very difficult to own this season. I've tend to own him when he goes on these runs, just getting a 1 and 2 points. And when I've not owned him, he's turned up late in the box and got those goals. So he can be a frustrating own, but for the double game week, it's very difficult to look at this Chelsea team and see where else you're going to go. I did consider Garnacho. I did consider Neto. I mean, I don't have the confidence with their minutes. So that's the reason I'm considering a double up in the Chelsea midfield. Semenyo is having an outstanding season. One of my biggest frustrations this season that I didn't jump on him early enough. When he went City, there's me thinking, oh, Pep, he's got about 100 midfielders. Is he going to get enough minutes? Is he going to be rotated? It's turned out he plays every game, is vital, plays very attacking. In certain systems, he actually plays up front. He's the easiest pick on this wildcard team. I've gone for another City midfielder here that I am considering, and that's Cherky. Now, the problem with him, as you can see, it's highlighted red actually, the least minutes out of these, but to be fair, he joined City quite late. He has got 3 goals and 8 assists in those small amount of minutes. It tells you how effective and the impact he has had in this Manchester City team. And his expected assist is the best out of these players in this graphic. So if you're looking for a differential or you don't want a Manchester City defender, you could easily go double City midfield. Of course, it comes with high risk because of his minutes. Anton Stack has had a very good season. He's gone under the radar, to be honest, especially his Leeds started the season very badly. Second half of the season, he's been incredible and his performances have been great. Now, looking at statistics, they're nothing too special, but for 4.8 million, someone that's got 4 goals, 3 assists, takes set pieces, and his defensive contribution stat, which is very important, is the best out of these players here. Only issue, he came off injured against West Ham in the FA Cup. So it's made this wildcard a little bit more frustrating. But of course, if we've activated our wildcard, we can still play around and hope we get information before Friday's deadline. If not, we'll have to consider what we're going to do. We can move him on or swap him for another player. Tavernier is another excellent pick. He's the heartbeat of that Bournemouth attack. Shares penalties with Krupi, has excellent minutes. I really like him. And for that double game week, for me, I think he's an easy pick in midfield. And lastly, I've gone for a surprising one here, which is the Brighton Gomez. Been very, very good for that price, 4.9 million. His statistics have been not too bad. His DC per 90 is very impressive as well. So he does click up the defensive contributions. So if you're looking to pinch a bit of budget, yet still get a double game week player for your bench boost, and then potentially leave him on the bench for the remainder of the season, he's a perfect player. Must remember, he's on 9 yellow cards, 1 more yellow card, and they missed 2 games, which isn't great. It isn't the biggest selection if you're looking for doublers for game week 33, but I'll show you the 5 midfielders I've gone with, and that is Enzo, Semenyo, Palmer, Bruno Fernandes, who only has a single game week, and Tavernier. That's my midfield 5. I've gone through the forwards, I've gone through the midfielders. Let's look at the rest of the team now. Starting with the goalkeepers. As you can see, I've gone for Verbruggen and Darlow. 2 cheap goalkeepers. One of them has a good fixture in game week 32, as you can see, Burnley away, so that's not too bad. And they both double in game week 33. In defense, I've gone for Struck, O'Reilly, Gabriel, Van Heck, and Hill. Now, as you can see, Gabriel's the only player there that doesn't double in game week 33. And for me, he's just been one of the best FPL assets, probably the best FPL asset this season. And if he's fully fit, he will stay in my team because I want him back from game week 35 onwards. If he is injured, then of course I will reconsider that, whether I go to a cheaper Arsenal defender or maybe swap one of the goalkeepers to Raya and swap Gabriel to another player that doubles. I did have Rodon instead of Struck, who is cheaper and been probably better defensive contribution wise, but he came off against West Ham injured. So it depends. If I get information he's fully fit and is going to start, I will bring him back in. O'Reilly's been outstanding. Van Heck is a decent pick. Good fixture in game week 32 against Burnley. Doubles in game week 33 and is not bad with defensive contributions. Hill, hideous fixture in game week 32 against Arsenal, but has a good double, some decent fixtures for the remainder of the season, and to be fair to him, even in games where they're losing, he does click up defensive contributions. Midfield, I've already run you through it. It's Enzo, Semenyo, Palmer, Fernandes, and Tavernier. So basically 2 players in this team don't have doubles in game week 33. And up top, DCL has snuck into this team. Yes, this is the kind of thing that wildcards make you do. João Pedro and Haaland are locks. They're easy. DCL could become Welbeck. Let's see how it goes midweek. Now, the first thing you notice looking at this team, it's not ideal for game week 32. It's one of the biggest problems with activating wildcard in game week 32. Your team probably looked better than this before you use the wildcard. But the conundrum a lot of us managers have, we want to pair the bench boost with the wildcard. So if we don't wildcard this week, in theory, maybe even making our teams worse, how do we activate the bench boost next week with something like this, which has 13 doublers? Or you could even use your transfers to make it 15 doublers. This is how this wildcard team looks in game week 33. As you could see, all of them doubling except for Gabriel and Bruno Fernandes. Now, in theory, I've got free transfers, so I could swap those two and make it 15 doublers. Whether that's even worth it, I can think about that next game week. And for our wildcard to be a success, we do need it to go very strong in game week 33 when we activate our bench boost. Let me finish the video on telling you why Bruno Fernandes is staying in this team, even though he doesn't double in game week 33. Ah yes, game week 32 captaincy. This is one of the reasons Bruno Fernandes couldn't leave this team, even though we're all aiming to pick 15 double game week players. Some managers will keep him this week, captain him, and then transfer him out for game week 33. Nothing wrong with that, especially if you've got 3, 4, 5 transfers. But as we all know, recently Bruno Fernandes has been performing at such a high level, yet he has Leeds at home, and Leeds are pretty depleted after a long game in the FA Cup against West Ham. This fixture seems too good, and he's probably the best captain for game week 32. Now, I did try to look at other options. Yep, that is Mohamed Salah here in the graphic. I know. I had to get him in. I mean, it's his last season at Liverpool, man. What an FPL legend. But the reality is, even though Liverpool have a very good fixture against Fulham at home, I don't think many would even go near him, which is a shame. And someone like Haaland on the day can definitely bag a brace even against Chelsea. And lastly, Saka. I know, I just said earlier on, he's had a very difficult season, but trying to find someone from Arsenal, who I think is a decent fixture against Bournemouth at home, it's not easy. Irony is you could captain Gabriel if he's fully fit. That's how good he's been this season. And this is one of the reasons managers like me who want a wildcard in game week 32 still have to keep Bruno Fernandes. If you're still watching, I want to say a big thank you. Hopefully you found the video useful. And if you have, do me a favor, drop a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Also, hype the video. Makes a big difference. On that note, I wish you good luck. Good luck with your wildcard, and I'll see you in my next video.